Angel B, this one's for you. Now, we discussed at length the other day about the healthcare industry, and I was pointing out how, you know, prices are on the rise, as we know, and quality seems to be going down, and we have increased demand and reduced supply in the healthcare industry. So one of my suggestions is, to open the healthcare market up to lower level providers, providers of a smaller magnitude of service, not necessarily a smaller quality of service, to deal with more minor things and leave doctors available to deal with major catastrophes. I was talking about Army medics that are qualified to treat people on the battlefield but are not allowed to practice here. And, other types of practitioners that I think should be allowed to practice here, but they're shut out due to the government regulations that we have in place. Now, your argument, and basically the whole premise of our conversation, was that doctors represent a higher level of service and qualifications, and these other providers represent lower levels of the same. Now, even if that is the case, my argument is that these others should be allowed in, even if the doctors are higher and the others are lower. I still think the lower should be in, and we should let, grown people in full possession of all their faculties and capabilities make informed decisions, as long as the providers do, in fact, inform their clients of their level of qualifications or education or what have you. But the argument that somehow doctors represent a higher level of quality service provider and these other practitioners represent lower levels needs to be examined. Okay, now I grant you I'm talking about these other types of providers dealing with less magnitude of service, but not less quality of service. In other words, a broken arm could be treated equally as qualified by a doctor or by some lesser practitioner, in my opinion, much less a common cold. All right, but let's examine this concept of the doctor being automatically the higher quality provider. You have a system where you can go all the way through med school and pass your boards, which in my understanding is a group of people that examines your knowledge of the subject matter and examines your ability to apply that, and then makes a determination on whether or not they believe that you'd be qualified to practice medicine and to actually go out and use the information that you've obtained there. You can pass that procedure, but yet still fail, or still be disqualified, rather, from practicing medicine in the state due to the state licensing requirements. So you have qualified individuals that are shut out from practicing. How do we even justify the existence of a licensing board when you have people that should know what they're talking about already making a determination that this particular candidate in fact is well qualified and does possess the knowledge of the material they've been going over and is qualified to practice? And these are people in the industry that should know. Like I said, we have a third party, some political commission that gets to determine whether or not you actually get a license to practice. So you have qualified individuals that no doubt do not make it through the licensing procedure and are left out of the practice, out of the supply that would reduce price. Okay, so you have people that are qualified that are left out of the picture. Then you have people, because of the political nature of the licensing process, when people are on boards, that these licensing boards are mainly made up of doctors and people within the profession who have an incentive to limit new entrants into the field, simply because it does bring price pressure down, and it places a strain, a downward pressure on prices that would reduce salaries and things of that nature for doctors. and earnings potential. So you have a group of people that is highly incentivized to keep people, new entrants out of the industry, making a determination whether or not these people can in fact be allowed into the industry. So who gets passed on through? Well, it comes down to the system of favors. The more highly favored individuals get passed through, while people of equal qualifications but with less connections get left out. So, in fact, you may have some lesser qualified individuals make it through the licensing process and have some higher qualified individuals that are not licensed. So, you have people that pass the boards but don't get licensed, qualified individuals who are not practicing. Then you have people that make it through the licensing process that, as we later find out, are nothing that you could call qualified. So you have qualified individuals being shut out, unqualified individuals making it in. So not only are all the practicing physicians not necessarily well qualified, but you have some individuals that are well qualified that are not practicing. All right? So to treat a broken arm or to treat a cough, I don't think you can necessarily say that a doctor would treat a cough more competently than an unlicensed person would. So you say doctors are more highly qualified, others are less highly qualified, and I say if that's true, we should still let the less highly qualified people through. But I just want to point out that I don't think it's necessarily 100% luck that the doctors are the more highly qualified, especially when we're talking about lower magnitude of healthcare issues. Lastly, I have to point out that some people, if you put a Ford Taurus and a BMW side by side and tell them each one is free, drive away and enjoy the car of your choice, some people will still take a Ford Taurus out of taste. They don't enjoy the extra amenities. All the extra amenities that the BMW offers have no appeal to some individuals. Some people will go to UNT even if Harvard is within their grasp. All the extra goodness of Harvard just doesn't appeal to them. They prefer simplicity, or they prefer an easier route, or they prefer whatever. For some reason, they just don't care for the higher quality things. Some people, when you ask them what Parmesan cheese they would like, they would take the old nasty dry stuff in the green can rather than imported Parmigiano Reggiano straight from Parma, Italy. Why? I don't know. They just got used to it. They're unaccepting of new things. I don't know. But I'm not going to force the Parmigiano Reggiano on them, and I'm not going to force Harvard on somebody that would rather go to UNT, and I'm not going to force a BMW on somebody that wants a Ford Taurus. Some people think doctors put on airs. Some people just don't want to go to a doctor. Some people don't require a big, nice, fancy office to be seen in. They can be seen in Walgreens or Walmart. And so if your argument, we're going back to it, is right, and the doctors are more highly qualified, and the others are less so, we should still let them pick the higher quality. That's all. That's all. Let people have choices.